In the dimly lit corners of the world, there are places where the veil between the living and the dead is thin. Places where the past lingers like a shadow, refusing to fade. One such place is a notorious asylum, whose dark history has made it one of the most chilling and mysterious locations in the world. For decades, the asylum has captivated the imaginations of paranormal enthusiasts, thrill seekers, and ghost hunters alike. The stories that surround it are enough to send a chill down your spine. Tales of patients who vanished without a trace, strange occurrences that defy explanation, and a building that, despite being abandoned for years, still holds a terrifying grip on those who dare to enter. But what happened inside the asylum's walls? What secrets still remain hidden in the decaying structure, waiting to be uncovered? The asylum was originally founded in the late 1800s, constructed with noble intentions to provide care for the mentally ill. But as time passed, the asylum's purpose shifted. What was once meant to be a sanctuary for healing became a prison of torment for its patients. Overcrowded, underfunded, and often abandoned by those who were supposed to care for them, the asylum's conditions deteriorated. Patients were left in filthy, cramped rooms, subjected to cruel treatments that were deemed appropriate for those who were considered broken. The very institution meant to offer solace became a place of suffering, and as the years dragged on, the rumors of supernatural events began to spread. It wasn't long before stories surfaced of whispers echoing through the halls, of footsteps heard when no one was around, and of cold drafts that seemed to come from nowhere. But these were just the beginning. As the asylum's dark reputation grew, so did the number of reports of strange and unexplained events. The building, with its rusting gates, cracked windows, and peeling walls, seemed to come alive with whispers of the past. Visitors, both the curious and the brave, began to recount their terrifying encounters. They spoke of sudden drops in temperature that left them shivering despite the heat outside, and of shadows darting just out of the corner of their eyes. Shadows that moved with an intelligence, a purpose, as if they were aware of the intruders in their domain. But perhaps the most unnerving stories came from those who claimed to hear the cries of the patients, who had long since disappeared. The cries were faint, but unmistakable, the sound of souls trapped in a place they could never escape. These tales only deepened the mystery surrounding the asylum, and the more stories emerged, the more questions began to surface. Where did the patients go? Who were they? And what exactly happened to those who vanished from the asylum, never to be heard from again? These questions lingered in the minds of many, fueling theories, conspiracies, and fears. Some believed that the patients had simply escaped in the dead of night, leaving behind nothing but their belongings. Others claimed that the asylum staff had something to do with the disappearances, perhaps even hiding the truth of what had really happened to those poor souls. But despite numerous investigations and countless rumors, the truth was elusive. The asylum's doors remained locked, its secrets buried deep within the rotting walls. But there was one moment, one chilling discovery that would forever change the way people viewed the asylum. It came from a group of paranormal investigators who, in the dead of night, decided to spend an entire evening inside the asylum, hoping to capture evidence of the otherworldly phenomena that had long been reported. Armed with cameras, spirit boxes, and their own nerve, they set up their equipment and began their search for answers. What they encountered that night was far more terrifying than they could have ever imagined. As the hours passed, they wandered the abandoned hallways, their flashlights flickering in the darkness, casting long, eerie shadows on the cracked walls. At first, everything seemed normal. A few creaks, a few odd noises here and there, but nothing out of the ordinary. But as the clock ticked on, the temperature began to drop. A chill settled in the air, a cold so unnatural that it felt as though the room itself was freezing them from the inside out. That's when they heard it, faint at first, but unmistakable. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, as if someone or something was walking behind them. When they turned to look, there was nothing there, just empty, decaying rooms and the cold, oppressive air. But the footsteps continued, echoing in the silence, growing louder with each passing minute. The investigators were on edge, their nerves fraying as they moved deeper into the building. It was then that one of them, a woman named Sarah, stumbled upon something that would haunt her for the rest of her life. In one of the abandoned rooms, hidden beneath a layer of dust and cobwebs, she found an old journal. It was yellowed with age, its pages brittle and torn, but the writing was still legible. The journal had once belonged to a patient, someone who had lived and died within the asylum's walls. Sarah began reading aloud from the journal, her voice trembling as she shared the chilling words written within. Asterisk, they watch me all the time. I can hear them outside my room, whispering. They won't let me leave. I've seen the eyes that never blink, following me wherever I go. I don't know how much longer I can take it. They're coming for me. They won't let me go. Asterisk. As Sarah read the final entry, the temperature dropped once more. The investigators, now terrified, could feel a presence in the room, something dark, something malevolent. And that's when the lights flickered, the shadows moved, and a loud crash echoed through the building. The investigators fled, terrified and shaken. But what they experienced that night was only a glimpse of the asylum's true horrors. Weeks later, the journal was analyzed, and the story behind the patient was uncovered. The individual, a woman named Margaret, had been admitted to the asylum many years before. She had been a young woman with no family, no friends, and no one to care for her. She had been subjected to countless experiments, her mind slowly unraveling as she became a victim of the institution's cruelty. But it wasn't until the journal's discovery that anyone realized just how far her suffering had gone. Margaret's final words were not just a desperate cry for help, but a warning. She had been aware of the sinister presence within the asylum, the thing that watched, waited, and never blinked. The asylum's legacy continues to haunt those who dare to visit, its walls holding the echoes of a time long past, but never forgotten. Visitors still report strange occurrences, the feeling of being watched, and the undeniable sense that something is lurking just beyond their sight. The building stands as a monument to the darkness that once thrived within its walls, a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead seem to blur. Despite numerous investigations, the asylum's mysteries remain unsolved. But one thing is certain, the spirits of those who suffered, the ones who vanished without a trace, are not at peace, and as long as the asylum stands, their restless souls will continue to haunt its broken halls, forever trapped in the nightmares of the past. Have you ever experienced something paranormal? Do you believe that the dead can never truly leave the places they once inhabited? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. And if you're brave enough, check out more of our videos exploring the world's most haunted locations, where the past refuses to stay buried.